Hey crafty people! Welcome back to my channel, and in case you're new here, I'm Sarah, also known as Craft Nerd because I'm a nerd who loves to craft. I do paper crafting, card making, junk journaling, and mixed media art. Let's get crafting! Welcome back. In my last video, we inked all the things, and because I ran out of time over the weekend, I didn't get a chance to play with all the things, so now we're going to make some clusters using all the things that we inked. So let me clear some space so we can actually craft, and then I'll be back. All right, so let's make some clusters. Let's start, I think, with this guy. And we're going to use a piece of book page, and I die cut. This is from the Vault Boutique by Tim Holtz and Sizzix. And so we're going to use a bunch of little blue butterflies on this one. And what I think I'm going to do is glue down the book page to the very edge of the frame and then just trim roughly out so that we don't have book page sticking out. So it's just behind the frame. And I think I'm going to use some Sizzix Lustre Wax in charcoal on the frame. So let's trim off the excess book page. It's just got a scratch piece of washi on the back from one of my recent videos. I'm just going to use my finger and put a little of the charcoal luster wax on the edge of the frame because I don't know how well the shimmer's showing up, but it's kind of a blue. All right, now we're going to glue. No, wait. Now we're going to add a little ink to the book page. I have a small brush and some tumbled glass. Probably should have done this and then added the luster wax. I'm getting a little luster wax on the book page. All right, that's good. I just wanted to add a little color to it. Now we're going to glue butterflies on. These are a mix of the butterflies from the same die cut set and poppy stamps. And then I took one of the black ones and I want to have him kind of escaping out of the frame. Put way more glue on there than I needed. But I also now want to do, let's see, where did I put my pen? There we go. Blue cheesecloth. I'll rough up the edges a little bit. We're gonna put that behind, and I think I got some scrap coffee dyed paper over here. Let's see if we can find a scrap that's big enough. I think I'm gonna do my usual trick, and I'm gonna cut off a piece, grab my Fabri-Tac, do a line of Fabri-Tac down this edge, glue it on. big enough. think so. I think I like that. So let's go ahead and glue this down on there. And I'm just gonna glue the center so that the fabric tack stays kind of loose. There we go, that's glued on, and we're just gonna cut off the coffee dyed paper there-ish. Maybe try and do it a little straighter. Wow, that is not straight at all. Let's perhaps look from this side and use a bigger scissor. And take one more sliver off to try and get it so that it resembles straight. There we go. And just fray the bits at the edge a little bit. I feel like this piece is not wanting to fray very well. Grab my pokey tool and just kind of, for some reason, that little string does not want to come out. There we go. We've got our first cluster done. All right, let's do another one. Let's see, I've pulled out the fabric butterfly, and I think I'm going to trim away some of the netting on this. Let's not trim the butterfly. And then one of the inked butterflies, and I figured it could go there in the center. And let's go ahead and use our tiny attacher and just staple it. Like that. And I was thinking, grab another scrap of book page. Let's grab a tearing ruler. Let's see, let's go about there. Let's take a smidge off the side here. Uh-oh, that was a little bit more than I meant to, but that's all right. Last side. All right. So I want to have the butterfly on. I want to grab a ticket. This is a 49 in Market ticket. Kind of had hoped the bigger ones were in that color, but go all the way on there. Need something down there. And Piccadilly London. Grab my little paper trimmer. That's a little straighter. So we'll do that. Oh, I got two of those. Let's put one away. That. The butterfly. And I'm thinking I want one of these flowers, but I'm also thinking it needs something else too. Flower. pick it and do that. And have the butterfly going like that. And the little flower like that. And I think I want to ink the background. And we're going to ink that yellow. Let me grab a scrap piece of paper. Grab some squeezed lemonade. Then to add some contrast, we're going to use Twisted Citron to ink the edges of this. Bring out that. The edges on this need to be inked, but we need darker. Trying to think if I want to go darker green, or let's just go, oh, you know what? Let's ink this with, what do I want to do? I think I'm going to just do antique linen so it's not so white. And do the edges again with Twisted Citron to add that contrast. Let's grab Vintage Photo and do the edges because I do want to darken them just so that they stand out a little better. All right, let's assemble. So I've got this piece. We're gonna do that and that, so I'm gonna glue that on. That on. They're gonna go there and over the Piccadilly piece. So let's put a little glue on the top of this. Let's glue that down. And I put way too much glue on the Piccadilly. That's gonna stick way off the edge there. Let's try not to glue it to my mat. Head over and grab a bit of paper towel and just wipe the glue off. Gonna grab fabric tack for the butterfly and the flower. Put the butterfly on just at the center there. And the flowers on. Like so down here. And I like that. All right, we're gonna call that one done. I need to stick something heavy on there for a bit. So that one's done, and I've pulled out stuff for all the other colors. We're doing a rainbow of clusters. All right, so moving on to pink. I've got a piece of book page, and I'm gonna stick that there. The butterfly is gonna go down here, and I wanna run a little bit of the lace. Don't think I want that much. Let me grab some scissors. I almost want to cut it in half and have it just run next to this and not underneath. Let's give that a try. I like that. Let's glue. Now let's add a little inking to this so it's not so white. Where'd my scrap piece of paper go? And I'm just gonna do some sponge sugar just to add a little color to it. Then we are gonna take our fabric tack and glue down piece of lace. And this is faux stamp I did for Mixed Media March, where I used my gel plate and my waffle flower postage collage stuff. So I'll leave a link to that video down below. I think I wanted to go more like there. So let's kind of glue just a little bit. So, and then we'll glue this piece on there. We'll just do it at the body. So, and then we'll fold that there. Do that, and I think I want there. Let's do that and rip that bit off. Yes, I like that where you don't see the book page. Now, I think I'm gonna grab, because we're doing pink and black, I'm gonna do black soot on the edges. There we go, we've got pink done. All right, let's grab over some pieces for purple. And I'm gonna use a little bit of cheesecloth. And I've got a doily that I cut out of some dyed paper that I just used Brush-Os to color the water. So this is faintly purple. So let's just do this. And I've got, this was dyed with tea that gave it kind of like a purpley gray color. So we're gonna use that as a base. But I think I want to grab my tearing ruler and get us some nice torn edges. Glue that down. So I'm going to put down a little bit of Fabri-Tac just to hold the cheesecloth kind of in place. Stick it about there. Then I'm going to put it on the back of this. Grab this and just press down. And then we can tear off the bottom. About there. Then I was gonna add this to the center, and then I was going to do this outlining butterfly on a piece of book page that we would glue down and then again remove the excess, although this is going to be kind of a pain in the neck because it's so thin. Grab my tweezers. Right, now we're gonna cut this out. I like that, except I think I'm gonna angle a little bit more this way. I'm also eyeing, I've got a piece of cleanup tape attached to, I'm thinking I might use a piece of that on there. Do that, but let's glue this piece on. Some glue to the back of the tape because it's somewhat sticky but not very sticky. That guy's gonna go there, but I feel like I want something on that butterfly. I pulled out a Crafty by Tony stamp, so we're gonna stamp some, which I should have done before I glued this down, but too late now. And I'm gonna grab Shaded Lilac, my mouse pad, and I'm not actually gonna put it on a block because I want to be able to kind of smush it around. Let's test this out on a scratch piece of paper. Yeah, I think that will just give it a little bit of color. I'm kind of thinking I should have done Wilted Violet. So I think what we're going to do is come in and do some Wilted Violet as well. Let's glue that on, and since it's mostly going to be on or touching the cheesecloth, I'm going to use a little Fabri-Tac, and I'm not going to glue the wings all the way down. Just feel that gives it a little bit more life and movement. And there we go, purple's done. Next up, all right, for orange, I did some leaves so that I could turn them into butterfly wings, and I want to add more interest to them. So we are going to add some black die cuts to our orange pieces. Using the rag to get any glue seepage so it doesn't go everywhere. Then we're just going to glue it onto the Tim Holtz person. All right, let's keep going with the rest of the pieces. So the black bits are dies by Aall Create, and the wings are the Tim Holtz Sizzix, I think it's Artsy Leaves. I always think it's Funky Leaves, and then I go and check it, and I'm pretty sure it's Artsy Leaves, and I always get it wrong. And we're gonna also give her some antennae. And this is a memory box die, which it goes with this outline butterfly, which is also memory box, and that one's also an Aall Create die, and I forget who the doily die is by. I'm gonna give her a antennae on the body and glue it to her back. I was thinking I'd stick her on the doily. I kind of like that. And this one's Tim Holtz Sizzix Vault Boutique. I think we're gonna call that one done. I had some ledger sitting out on my desk that I did on my jelly plate for Mixed Media March. And so let's straighten it up. Let's go ahead and do our tearing ruler. gonna use this strip as a stem for a flower. And then I got a leaf, and then we're gonna stick a butterfly in the center of the flower, but it didn't stand out enough, so I've got the label to go there. So let's just take off this edge. And we're sticking it down here. Stick that there. Flower like so. Butterfly like in the center. Leaf like that. All right, what we're gonna do is we are gonna ink the edges of this, and I'm actually gonna tear a smidge more off right there, that little bit. And let's do shabby shutters. Down because that goes on it. And this is Elizabeth Craft Designs stamp that I stamped on some coffee dyed paper. And the leaf. Now I'm going to come back in with my tearing ruler and tear off more on this side. I feel like it needs something over here. I was just trying to keep as much of the cool ledger as possible, but it needs something else. Let's see about grabbing another butterfly to stick maybe there. Another leaf. It needs something at the bottom. Let's add those things while I think about what I want at the bottom. Let's grab a piece of inked tape, and I'm gonna go green, I think. That one actually kept some of the backing paper, so I figured that would show up better against our dark green background. And I am going to ink the edges using, let's go with Shabby Shutter since we've got it out. Let's see how that works. I think it's dark enough against the painted book page. So I think I'm gonna come in with some vintage photo. There's that one. This guy yet next. So that's cracked pistachio, and this is some linen that not linen, just like cotton fabric that I dyed previously. And we got a piece of book page, and we're gonna glue that down, but I think I want to ink it. Let's do cracked pistachio on the edges. Let's give this a try, and we're gonna see. I think that actually works okay. All right, let's glue the flower together.
because I want the little butterfly at least partially on the book page. So I need to make sure the flower is positioned so that the stems also all fit on, kind of thing. Let's glue the stem to the back of the flower. Okay, I think we can go ahead and glue the book page down. I'm going to use Fabri-Tac because it works better with gluing stuff with fabric. That off, and we need something for the center of that flower because it needs something. Let's just do a dot of liquid pearls in purple. I'm gonna set that aside somewhere where I'm not going to stick my finger in it so that it can dry without me ruining it. And that's another one done. All right, for this one, I have had these little envelopes sitting in my stash for I don't know how long, waiting for me to do something with them. So I'm going to show you basically how to make them real quick. You need a square piece of paper. Then if you fold it corner to corner, and then fold it again corner to corner, you'll get a little X for your center, which you probably can't see on screen, so I'll just put it in lightly with pencil. Hopefully you can see now. Then you turn it so it's on the diagonal and fold your sides into the center, like so. You fold your bottom up a little past the center. You're supposed to do the same with the top. I don't always remember to do that. Then what you're going to have is sections in the corner, little triangles where they cross. You're going to want to cut those away. So we got quick and easy envelope. Let me erase my pencil just in case it shows. Then we're going to fold our sides back in, fold this up, and then you can decide if you want to fold down that point. It's a little less pointy. And there we go. So let's glue this together. And I meant to ink around those edges so they'd stand out a little bit more. And this one I already glued together and I want to ink the edges. All right, let me do that. And I'm actually going to use peacock feathers kind of as a contrast. This one I think we're going to glue shut, so it would have been nice if I had not assembled this all the way so that I could have inked the two cross ends on the bottom there, but we're going to glue this one closed. Then we are going to ink this one. And again, I'm going to regret not having inked it before I glued it together. Glue those together like so. And then this last one, which I can ink, although maybe I shouldn't since I haven't done it on the other ones. Let's not, since then it's going to stand out. Let's just finish gluing it closed. It's going to go like that. Just trying to get them a little angled. And let's glue this one to that one, or to those two. And going to glue in some butterflies flying out of our envelope. There we go, we've got another cluster done. Okay, we're gonna use this big butterfly and some book page. All right, first I don't want the white on there, so let's tear that off. I think I want to go ahead and tear that edge off. Let's tear the bottom edge off. Do that like that. All right, I'm going to tear a little bit off the top. All right, I'm grabbing some lumberjack plaid. I'm going to, let's see, I want this little bit sticking up. So we're going to do that there. So let's tear off the white from the bottom. All of our edges. And then we are gonna ink this one's edges. Also with the red. Go ahead and glue this one down. I'm gonna do a black on the edges of this. These are tickets from 49 and Market. I'm gonna stick one there, one there. Butterfly's gonna go like so, okay. Right, and then I'm gonna glue one of the flowers we dyed into the center of the butterfly, just to add a little more interest. That one's done. All right, our last one, we are going to, I need to change the size of this piece of paper. I just haven't decided. Thinking maybe I just glue the butterfly on and then tear around it. I kind of like that idea. All right, let's do that. And as I'm doing this, I'm realizing I probably should have inked the edges of the smaller butterfly to make it stand out a little bit more, but it is too late now. And what I can do is I can grab my mono drawing pen and outline the smaller butterfly. And I'm gonna add a black dot there and there, and one there, and there. And a little bit of swooshy action over there. I need to stop there. I think I went a little overboard, but all right. Way too white. I think we're gonna go salvage patina because that kind of goes with the ticket that I pulled out. Let's go ahead and glue that down. Actually, let's put a little bit more ink higher up, just so that I'm sure I've got enough. All right, let's do that. Let's run our pen around the butterfly on the book page. There we go. Now I'm going to ink the edges of that using abandoned coral. I want to use a little bit of this as well. I was originally thinking I have that sticking off and put a little of this here. I don't know, which do we like better? Option 1 would be that. Option 2 would be that. I like it hanging off the edge. I think we're gonna go with that, but something else, we need something else now. Glue this down. That needs something on it so it pops more, or behind something behind it so it'll pop more. All right, it's another 49 and market ticket. Let's just ink the edges using I think peacock feather. I just want those not to be white. Glue that on. Try to decide, do I want to glue it like that? That like that? Or do we want it on top? I think I like it better going slightly underneath. All right. This with some salvage patina. Now ink the edges with abandoned coral. There we go. That one's done. All right, let me have a bit of a cleanup and then we'll take a look at what we got accomplished. So we got our red one, our pink, orange, coral, yellow, green. This one's cracked pistachio, blue, turquoise, and purple. So there you go, a rainbow of butterfly clusters. Using the die cuts and fabric and lace bits that we dyed in the last video. So that's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, please do all the things that lets YouTube know you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell,
leave me a comment down below. Thanks for joining me, and happy crafting!